So, Billingsgate
Yeah.
goes on some tours. Victory
Goes on some
Records.
tours,
Patty's
finishes
kicked
up.
out. He's the roadie.
Yeah, well, good.
And then you went. So you went to. You were kicked out of high school, and yet you
Kicked out of high school. Yeah.
went to college.
Yeah, me and Patty both went to these weird like private schools, and then I joined this band called Bloodline that was from here, and I wanted like I was gonna go to college someplace, and I couldn't decide where I wanted to go, but I wanted to leave Chicago, and Bloodline was kind of like a ready-made band for me. Like,
How'd you hook up
I
with
could
them?
just
How
come
did
up.
that?
The guitar player was originally from Evanston. He'd come up here to go to McAllister. So I joined them. So when I moved up here in like '92, I was in that band, and I wrote a little bit of stuff for him. We did like one record on Doghouse, which apparently is like a huge label now or whatever. But I did a record. We toured Europe for the first time, or I toured Europe for the first time with that band. By the time I was in it, the singer was the only original member.
And stylistically, how was Bloodline different from?
It was way
Billingsgate?
more like low and slow, and like that was kind of the thing. That's kind of like hardcore was getting slower, and like that was kind of the trend or whatever. So, but by this point, I was kind of sick of like I was definitely getting sick of like hardcore stuff, and I was getting sick of hardcore shows, and I was getting sick of like all the sort of like tough stuff, and I was getting sick. So, I called up Patty, and I was like, dude, you should come up here. And he had supposedly been playing bass, although when he actually got here, it turned out he had a bass with 2 strings on it, and he only knew how to use one finger, so he would just slide it around. But I was like, dude, you should come up here, and we should just do a band that's not a hardcore band. Like, we should just try it. You know what I mean? And that's how D4 started, basically.
When you were, so he came up, and
Yeah, he
did you
came
just
up.
leave Bloodline at a certain point? And
I mean, the thing just kind of imploded anyways, and there was talk of keeping it together, but I mean, no one was really that into it, you know.
well, for you, was there music that you were listening to that was
Yeah.
changing the way you were hearing things and what you wanted to
absolutely.
make yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like hardcore had been stale for a long time, and to me, and then, or at least the hardcore I was exposed to at the time. I mean, there was actually a lot of really good other stuff that I just didn't really know about, and there was this whole like, there were all these bands like Born Against and Rorschach, and this whole like kind of other New York scene that started that I was really into, but that sort of ultimately was more punk, you know, like, and that's where we started to get out of the hardcore thing and more back into just punk again, you know, like, and then like. Then there were bands like, again, like Screeching Weasel and like Jawbreaker, even Propagandy, like even, you know, like bands like that started to kind of like, you know, we started to get into catchier stuff and you know, started to realize like, you know, a lot of the stuff we liked was more poppy stuff, and we decided to try something like that.
Now, at any point, did you go back and like to first generation stuff, like even Stooges or like Patti Smith?
Eventually, yeah, but it was weird. Like we got into that
Clash or
stuff
Sex
kind of
Pistols?
backwards. Like yeah, like we got like I discovered Stiff Little Fingers after I'd been listening to like punk and hardcore for years. You know what I mean? Like, but like eventually we ended up getting, you know, into all that original stuff. But we kind of missed that. You know what I mean? Like we had to go back and find it later.
So D4, how did the rest of the? I mean, was it as soon as Patty? Did you guys come up with a name right away, or did it?
No, we were called the Ted Kennedys for a while, and then we had a singer, this kid named Bruce, who was really bad, and then we kind of like, there was kind of like a basement thing that was just starting here, as far like there was this band called Dirt Poor, and then a little later this band called The Strike, this band called Bomb Site. There were like a few newer bands like in town, and they were doing like house shows. There was like the THD House, and they were doing a show, and they're like, yeah, you guys should come play it. It was like in a warehouse that one of them like had the keys to. So that was like our first show, and I think it was us and like the Quincy Punks, and I can't really remember, but we were sort of like forced into it. We had no lyrics, but we had like 8 songs. But I would just sing like gibberish, or we'd kicked out that dude already. And I would just, like Patty and I both, we just literally sing gibberish that sounded like lyrics or whatever.
And who's on drums?
Lane, who is
Okay.
still on drums. We just met him at Hamlin or whatever. We went to Hamlin, and we ended up playing that first show, and then we had a tape of it. And afterwards, me and Patty were driving down to Chicago together to play a show with our other band. We were still kind of doing that band, Anger House, and we listened to the tape on the way down, and I was like, I'm not singing, dude. Like I'm out. Like this is terrible. I mean, I sounded like Olga from the Toy Dolls. I was just like a little squawk box. It was. I mean, I couldn't deal. So for a couple months, I thought we were
Had you
just
been
gonna be
singing
done.
before that, like just
Never.
growing up?
I'd
You'd
never sung
even
before.
tried.
Yeah. I don't even know why I thought I could at the time, but we kicked that dude out and we had the show. You know what I mean? Like, so I just did it, and I don't know. I mean, I was definitely like out on singing. I was like, I can't do it. And Patty had sung in bands, but it was hardcore, so he just like yelled. You know, he was really good at that, but like he never like sung really either. So I mean, we kind of thought we were done, but I don't know. Somehow we stuck it out. After that show, we got asked to play a show here in the Hole, opening for J Church. And all of a sudden, we're like, wait a minute, we just got asked to play another show, and it's with a band we like. We really liked J Church at the time, and I still like them. And you know, all of a sudden, it just sort of happened. It just, you know what I mean? It just like it was like a screw off band that sort of just became a real band, kind of fast, I guess. You know.